Hey, YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of Learn JavaScript with Foundry VTT. And in our last episode, other than kind of babbling on for quite a while, we started working on our initiative with Advantage macro. And as I stated in that, I was preparing it for a lot more than it actually ended up being. So we're getting more data than what we need. However, if you want to finish this or try and finish it, then it would be really good because all the data you need is there. You just need to figure out how to actually update the combat tracker. So we're going to continue on with what we have, and even though we're going to have coded these other parts that we technically don't need, I think it's a good thing to actually have to kind of understand a little bit more. As you can see, just like my last video, but if you came to this one first for whatever reason, we're in version 10 of build 291 of Foundry. Let's go ahead and jump right in back to our initiative with Advantage. And as you can see, we've set it up where we're checking if we have a token selected. If we do, then we go ahead and create our data for that token. We're also checking if there's actually combat in the combat tracker, and if there is, we're creating a variable to hold the combat information. As I said in the other video, what this doesn't do is actually check if there's multiple, or doesn't know how necessarily to handle multiple, but you might be able to figure out some of that other stuff by more of the stuff that we're actually going to talk about. So we have our chain condition. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's call this, I don't know, set up our INITITAVE. Did I spell it right? INITI. I'm missing something. INITIA IT. We could just call it init. That would be easier. I think that's why they do it on the character sheet, because, like, man, that's a really confusing word. TIVE. And that could be wrong. I don't know. So set up our initiative values is what we're doing. So what we've done so far is we've turned our die roll, or our main initiative roll that we made, into a decimal. So if we roll a 13, it will be 0.13, and we're going to save that as my dex, because that's our dex value. The other thing we need to do is figure out what our modifier was for our initiative. So and we already know that, you know, it's a 12 is going to be a +1. A 13 is also going to be a +1, which I believe this one is. However, we don't have to actually programmatically figure that out, because Foundry already has that information saved in our roll data. So if we go look here in our roll data, under abilities, under dex, we can see that our mod here is 1. So all we have to do is let's do let my mod, maybe, I don't know, my dex mod, I don't know, we'll just leave it that. And this is going to be the same thing we have here, with the exception, Control C, Control V, instead of value, we're going to just do mod, and that will give us our modifier. So now you can see we're going my data, which is the variable we created up here, my data from token actor get roll data, and that basically pulls up our roll data here. As you see, we went into abilities, which is right here, down to dex, which is right there, and mod, which is right here, and it is giving it should report back A1. All right, so now that we have those two values, what we can do is go ahead and set up our roll. We have all the information we need for our roll, and we know how to do our roll. We know that in Foundry here, we would, I don't know if I can do this. Actually, let's hit save real quick. We know that to do a roll, to do that, to type out this roll manually, we would do /R, and then we would do 2D 20, and then we would do keep high, right? KH for keep high. And if we roll that, we can see, look at that, we rolled 2, we got rid of the 8, we keep the 17. So here we can see this is what the card looks like. And if we want to do this other stuff, then of course we would do plus the 1 for our dexterity, plus the 0.13 for our, or we could just do 1.13. But I kind of want to separate it at the moment, just so we can see what we're doing. So anyway, now if we roll that, I guess technically we can't type that. That's good to know. I've never tried typing it. I wonder, would it let us do the 1.13? It would let us do that. So I guess we just can't do the, I wonder, hold on, I want to check something. I wonder if it would have let us do it if we said plus, whoops, plus 0.13. So it's not just a decimal, it's actually a value here. Yes, it will. All right, but as you can see, this is doing exactly what we're going to want it to do. We want it to roll 2 dice. We want it to add the 1. So as you can see, we got the 9. And then we want it also to tack on our initiative modifier. So this is basically the same thing if we were to go in here and run this and do a normal, and a normal. If we close this, you can see, oh, I didn't save that, did I? Now I have to do it again. That's not what I wanted. Let's go ahead and go here, go settings. I didn't actually hit save when I clicked dexterity tiebreaker. So now that we've done that, we can actually go ahead and end this, delete this combat, go ahead and re-add the combat. I didn't do it right. I clicked off of it. There we go. So now that we have them, I can go in and you'll see that now it will be rolling exactly what we're wanting. So there's Acro with its 13 as his tiebreaker, and so on and so forth. So that's basically what we're trying to get to happen with this. All right, so let's go back in here, initiative advantage. There we go. So we know we have all the components we need for our role. So now in Foundry, we want to create a role that will actually go to the chat card. So I'm going to hit F12 again real quick. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and let's do that. So what we need to do is we need to set up a new role, because role is it a class or an object? I don't know. Whatever we need the new keyword for. I think it's a class. I'll have to go double check because JavaScript doesn't like classes that much, but I don't remember. So we're going to set our role, and we could call this my role just to stick with the theme. Whoops. Technically, it's my roles. And then we'll say equals. And the way we set this up, we use the new keyword to create a new, I'm pretty sure it's an object. Or a, I don't know, I'm drawing a blank because I've been playing with other programming languages. And we use an uppercase R-O-L-L. So we do role. Then we simply kind of put in our verbiage that we did for our chat down there. So we know, and we're going to do this so we can insert code into it. We're going to use our ticks, which is the key with the tilde just underneath the escape key. And we're going to say 2D20 and keep high, right? So we know we want that, and then we want plus, and we know we want that other plus as well. Now, technically, when we typed in our thing, remember this is actually 0.13 in this case. So it's actually going to be formatted correctly as far as that goes. So we're going to go ahead and say 2D keep high. We're going to go ahead and add our dex modifier. So we're going to do the string and then our little curly braces. And we're going to do my, we did the mod first, so we'll just do mod. nope, not implements, sorry, my mod. And then we, after that, added in our my dex, the dex itself, right? So we'll do string curly braces and do my dex. And that's going to generate our role the way we want it to. Now, this kind of has the, I can't remember what it's called. Is it called chaining, I think? And we want to tell the role that is it going to be asynced, right? And in this case, we do not want it to be asynced. So we're going to say async. We're going to pass this into it and say false. So we're passing in an object into the role, and false. So what this is going to do is actually generate a role in Foundry for us, right? The next thing we want to do is output that role, because we could do this, and if we run it, you know, a role happened, everything worked. However, we have absolutely no idea what our role was. If we go in here, we'll see that obviously it wasn't whatever that did that. I knew it wanted to clear this. But as you can see, so it is generating that role, but we have no idea what that role is, right? So let's go ahead and find out what that role is by turning it into a message to put in the chat card. So let's go ahead down here, and after our thing here, I don't think we need the, at least right now we don't need the console, because we're actually going to output it to the game itself. So let's call this GEN, not FGen, GENERAT, generate a role, or generate roles. Maybe it's not a role because it's actually doing the two, right? So let's say generate our roles, our ROLS, and once, oh, whoops. Once again, we can go ahead and just set up a debug thing here and do console.log in case it has issues or whatever, and call this my ROLS, right? I'm going to comment that out because we're not using the console at the moment. All right, so let's go ahead now and we will output the role to the chat. So display role, maybe. Display role to chat. Chat. All right, so the way we do this is now we need to use our my role that we just generated, right? We need to do my role. I'm wondering if I was supposed to change this to my role. I guess we'll find out. So my role, and then to message. So we're going to do my role to a message, and here is what the message is. So we're going to have an object in here, and we're going to say the speaker is SPEAKER, and we'll go ahead and say CHAT MESSAGE chat message dot get SPEAKER, get speaker, and it's going to then go ahead and get our tokens. So the reason we set up my token is so we could actually get it. So we can set the object to token colon and my token, token, dot actor. And basically that, if I didn't screw up, is it. I'm wondering if we have to have this be called my role, because it's going to resolve this, and then it's going to pass the role kind of into itself almost. So I'm not 100% sure. We'll see if this works or if it seems to work. So if we go ahead and execute it, please select a single token. I guess we unselected our token. Let's go ahead and select our token. At least we know that part works. And execute our macro. I think this does have to be called my role. Where was it? Down here. In my original notes, or the one that I wrote, I actually just, for whatever reason, just called it role, but I kind of want to stay with the theme here. So let's go ahead and try that. Role to message. Oh, is that not what? Oh, hold on, let me double check something. Oh, actually, no, that's not what we want. We're creating an object here. This is part of our message. There's more to do still. So let's call this, instead of display to chat, let's set up role INFORMATION. So setting up our role information. The thing we want to do first before we do that is we actually want to determine which one is our high dice. So we're going to go look at our dice now. So we're going to set 2 dice. We're going to have die 1 and die 2. Technically, I could call my die 1, my die 2, but that seems a little over. So let's go ahead and say I'm just going to leave it die 1. And then we're going to say equals. And maybe actually, you know what, before I do this, let's do this again so I can actually show you where we're going, because I kind of like to help you guys get a visual of what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing. So if we do that, so if we execute the macro, so did it actually create our... Oh, I want this console log actually so we can see it. All right, so we're still going to get that error, but what we want, and I don't remember what we're getting the error before. Console log my roles. I'm going to go put this back to regular role because that might actually be what it was. My role is not a function. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So if I do that, leave that how it was. At least now we're getting our role data. We're failing a little further down here, but that's not a big deal. All right, so we did want that role. So now you can see here's our actual role. If we go look at, I think it's the data. Nope. Let me look at my notes. Roll dice. There's the dice. Actually, it's this dice down here. So here is our dice. So we now have our key pie number 2 results. So here's our 2 results. So we rolled 1 dice set, but here's our 2 results. We have a 19 and a 7. And we need to go ahead and get that stuff ready to output to the console. So what we're going to do to access this, we know that there's only 1 dice, so we know that it's going to be an array set 0 here. And then we know that we want 0 and 1. So die 1 is going to be 0, die 2 is going to be the 1. So let's go ahead, I'm going to move this over and get that set up. So let's go ahead and do this. Let me make sure, yes. So wait, didn't I comment out let die 1? No, I must have deleted it. All right, so let's go ahead and do let die 1 or result 1, I don't know. And we'll do equals, and it's going to be on our my role. My roles dot, and we saw that was in my roles dice. It's in this array here. So DICE bracket 0 bracket dot And then we want inside here, we want results, and we want 0 and 1. But we want a little more because this is yet another array. It has all this info. We only want the result value. So we're going to go ahead and say die1 is in dice, right? Dice, yes, and then RESULTS, and we'll do 0 bracket 0 again, and then RESULTS. So there's our results. And we could do that, and then Control C and Control, why is that tab not right there? All right, I don't know. Luckily, it doesn't matter. And then we know this one's actually in 1. So this will get our 2 results now. And now we can say what we want to do is do a simple comparison and say, okay, we're going to have one called high die. Or I guess we could, no, we'll call it high die. And that's the one we actually want to add our values to, right? So what we want to do is compare die 1 to die 2. And if that is, if die 1's the high one, then we want to go ahead and set high die as 1. Other words, we want to set high die as 2. We don't actually need to do a second check. So let's go ahead and do that and say if, and we're going to say die 1 is greater than die 2. And we'll do that. So if die 1 is greater than die 2, we'll just call it my die. That way we keep with our thing. And we'll say my die equals die 1 plus my, what do I call it? My int, right? No, I called it, what did I call it up there? I have my dex and my mod. So we want my mod first and plus my dex. And that's pretty much it. Then we here say ELSE because we know that die 1 is not bigger, so my die is actually going to be die 2. And let's see, we're at 22. I think we can keep going. So now what we want to do, actually, this is the part I think that didn't work right. And I need to actually come up here. I'm going to also zero out. I'm going to do let, because we're not doing a let. So one other thing we would run into if we did let here, actually be fine, but I think it's a little nicer to keep it up here. So we'll call it, this is the my die. And we'll just have it equals 0.0. So it's actually going to reserve a float for us. All right, so, and that way, once we have this, we already have it defined, so we should be able to get that. All right, let's go ahead. We can re-comment out this because we know where we got our information. And let's output our results real quick and just see. So let's do a couple more console logs. Whoops, Control Z. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control C and Control V and Control V. And we'll just call this die 1, die 2, and my die. All right, so let's go ahead and do that and see if this works okay. Promise. Die 1 has already been declared. Where did I might have done it. So let my die. Oh, whoops. Die 2. All right. All right, so there we go. Let's see. Cotton promise. My role is not defined. Did I forget let on that? Oh, roles. Darn it. My roles. Okay. Close that. And there we go. We actually even got the role. My die is not defined. So here we can see chat ID created. So it actually did create our thing, and it ran the sound for us. So let's hit close. So here you can see actually it worked fine as is. We rolled a 1 and a 6, and we added everything in there. So it's only showing us our high one. I think the reason I had all this other stuff when I first was doing it is I wanted more information on the chat card itself. But we don't actually need that, and I was going to show you that just so you got an idea of how to do that. I'm going to do a copy and paste because it'll be a lot quicker. I'm going to do Control-C, and we need to find this my die is not defined. Let's redo that. So initiative, my die is not defined at main line 46. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to quickly, oh, actually, let's get rid of this. And I just wanted to show you the other way of doing the chat card, because this has some kind of cool things, and this is how I had to do it first because I wasn't getting it to work, I believe. So here's what we're doing. I do need to change these to my role. And did I say my roles? I don't remember. My roles, yes. Die 1's good, die 2's good. My roles. And my roles. And everything else looks good. All right, so is this where I was? Oh, I didn't copy enough. I need this too. We're once again further than I want to be. So here's one thing. This is all part of the code where I was hoping to get it to actually update the ACRA. In this case, the ACRA that's in the combat tracker. I'm going to have to close this too. And I don't think I got that working, did I? Oh, maybe I did, because look. Oh, no, that's 7.13. Well, let's play with it and see. All right, so anyway, let's go ahead and continue on. I'll explain what these other parts are. Here, what I wanted to do originally is create my own card, right? So I'm creating the player that's actually in the combat tracker. I want to track who the player actually is in the combat tracker. So to do that, I need to look at all the names that are in the combat tracker and find the one that matches my character's name. And we do that by going, to my combat, and then we go to the combatants, and then we use .find, and we use this built-in kind of arrow search function, I don't know. And what this will do is it will basically assign player the token that has our actual name, and it will take that token and assign it to the player. So what we're doing here is a quick little search by saying n.name, which is referring to that .name. So we're looking at what's being passed in .name. We're looking at its name, and then we're trying to compare that with my token.name. So it's basically going to kind of go through each of those until it finds the one you want, and then it's going to return player. Which will be the actual token that's in the combat tracker. Then what we do is I wanted to check what that player's ID was. So I'm saying player.id, because we have our player, we have the token, we know we want the ID, and we're going to set that to player ID. Now technically, this, as I'm looking at it, doesn't need to be there. We could actually just do player.id here and be fine. Then if we went and looked in the combat tracker, if we went game, combat, set initiative, is a built-in function that I believe I found in the API documentation, and it says player ID, which would now be the ID of our player, and we're going to set the value to our high die. Now this didn't necessarily work, and I think I changed this up here to my die. My die. Yes. And then I console log out player just to make sure I get the actual information. Maybe I'll leave that for now. Then this is kind of the part where you can actually customize the card. So the card is basically just a little HTML element or a div or whatever. So what I have here is I have chat content, and I have, you know, just p tags. Hopefully you know enough about this. And we're going to say, here's the actual formula. So if we went and looked at the formula, we could actually see the formula that was generated by the myRole formula. Let's see if we can pull that up real quick if it's in here. Role data, actually commented it back out. But anyway, where we were looking at the results and stuff, there's actually one.formula, which is our formula. Then I have it output first roll, and that's the die 1. Second roll, that's die 2. Then I had it say that my roll result was what the end result was, right? And then I have the total, which is everything there. So we can see if this works. I get the feeling that it's not, because we have that other error that's popping up, but it'd be awesome if it did. So we hopefully have Acra selected. We do not. So if we select Acra and go ahead and run this, it didn't actually, oh, I didn't finish what we were doing. So then what we're doing, we have all that fancy text stuff, and we're setting that as the chat content. To create a card, what we do is we do chat message create. We have to have the speaker, and the alias speaker would be my token name, and the content for it would be the chat content. Not 100% sure why it's not outputting correctly, but I do want to show you the correct stuff. And I will, like I've been trying to put on my Discord, all the little code snippets of these things. I'll make sure the one that works properly I will put in there. So I'll figure out everything that's going wrong with this one and get it taken care of. So I'm going to save that, because I do know that this other one that I called test, oh, it's not that one. I guess I ended up deleting it. But if I go ahead and say create macro, and we'll just call it test. I'm going to paste my actual code in there just so you can see what it actually does. And get rid of any of this extra junk that we don't need. Is this the right one? No, that's the other one. And then we're going to go ahead and call this good for this episode, because it's going a little long. Go on, go up, 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 up. Right here. Okay, Control C. I'm going to go ahead and paste that in here and just show you what that last part actually looks like. So I need to take this guy, Control X, and put it, I believe right here is where I wanted it. So save, and now make sure we have Acra selected. Go ahead and click test. Do that. Go to the chat. Okay, this one is on. It worked when I when I just barely did this. Just before I started recording, it was working right. So I'm gonna have to figure this one out as well. But anyway, that's kind of irrelevant to the rest of what we're doing. That was more the bonus stuff. The big thing was getting this chat card, the default one, to pop up, and we definitely did that. So I'm happy with that. Like I said, I will go ahead and try and figure out what is and why it worked before and why it isn't now. But that's all I got for you guys. So that finishes up this one. The next one, I'm still kind of determining what I need to do. and the dark vision one would be really awesome if I got it, because then I could explain it to you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Click that little notification bell. Follow me on Twitter, check out my Discord and my other channels, and don't forget to tell other people about my channel. Come check it out. If they like what they see, they can sub. We grow the channel. Everyone wins. Everyone's happy. And that is it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.